And at the end of the day, I still didn't get the results I wanted. The why wasn't the problem. The why wasn't the issue. Now, looking back on it and reflecting back, it was an alignment issue. It was an energy issue. I was going through the motions. I was doing the things, but it wasn't getting me the results I wanted. Okay, so honest moment before I even get started in today's episode, I am not feeling it in the terms of I'm in the wrong phase of my cycle to be recording a podcast episode. That is the way the cards fell. My kids are out of town, my two littlest, they are away at my family's house, and I have only my oldest. My husband was like, I'll take her and go do something fun with her. And so I have time to actually get stuff done. And as I was looking at my calendar and looking at the list of things that I needed to get done, this is a top priority and urgent that needs to get done. And so it is falling outside of alignment with my cycle. So as I sat down and was getting ready to record, 1, it's late. 2, it's out of my phase of my cycle. So things just feel off. I rarely like doing episodes at night. When I used to do them only audio, it didn't make a difference when I did them. But now, during the fact that I'm doing them on video as well, I have to have this light and it's really bright. And so then I'm staring at the light. And so I will admit, there are so many factors right now that are working against me in this episode, in this podcast. And this episode is all about motivation and having the energy to do the things you want to do. So ironically, I think it kind of happened not by coincidence that I'm recording this episode all around motivation and having the motivation and the energy to do the things you need to get done at a time when I don't feel it. So it'll probably end up being really perfect for you because this is in the moment, real life, me doing it. And right before I got on this, I was jumping up and around, dancing, doing this like crazy jig and making lots of loud noises and all these things to get my energy ramped and revved for this. Which a little like forethought is I will share with you some of those go-to strategies that I have for boosting my energy when I don't feel like I have the energy, but I need to get something done, or the thing that I need to get done is out of alignment with my cycle. But I'm also going to talk a little bit bigger about some of those big problems that I see in the space in terms of motivation and our expectations of motivation and what we think about motivation and what we're hearing and why it's not really working for a lot of women. So segueing into that, I don't know if you've read the book. I believe it's called The Power of Why. Something. There's a couple of books that I had read back in my network marketing days all around why, right? That was what my coaches were telling me, my upline, all of those people were saying, like, it's all about your why. If you have a big enough why, it doesn't matter the excuses because you'll get up and operate in spite of them. If your dream, if your vision, if the reason why you're doing your business, why you're doing it is bigger than the excuses, then the excuses no longer become an issue. You're going to get up and do it regardless. I can tell you back then, my why was pretty damn big. I had some massive goals. Today, I still have massive goals. I have massive goals. I have big dreams. I have big reasons for why I'm doing what I'm doing today. My guess is that you're in the same boat, that you have really big dreams and you have big reasons as to why you want to accomplish them. And for me, it didn't matter how big that why was. No matter how much I wrote it down on paper, no matter how much I put it on a vision board in front of me and had this idea of like, this is why I'm building my business. None of that really made the difference in the end because there was still some days that I didn't have the motivation to do it. I didn't want to get up and do it. And so I think that there's this element of like, your why isn't necessarily motivation, right? I still got up and did it most of the time. That doesn't mean I was motivated to do it. It means I grudged my way through it and I did it regardless I pushed past the excuses, yes, but it never felt good. It never felt motivating. It never felt like this thing that lit me up and made me excited about doing it. It was doing it because I needed to do it. That was what I was told to do. That was going to get me the results that I wanted, yada, 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 right? Check the box. I'm such a great check boxer. Like, if you like checking boxes, we are in good company. I like checking boxes. In fact, I will admit I am one of those people that will oftentimes write things on my to-do list that are already done just so that I can check them off because it feels so good to be able to check them off. And so I checked the boxes. I did all of those things. And at the end of the day, I still didn't get the results I wanted. The why wasn't the problem. The why wasn't the issue. Now, looking back on it and reflecting back, it was an alignment issue. It was an energy issue. I was going through the motions. I was doing the things, but it wasn't getting me the results I wanted. Maybe that's where you're at right now, is going through those motions, but not getting the results. And I'll tell you, this has been an area of growth for me significantly over the years because we hear so many people in the masculine world all talking about rah-rah motivation, trying to cheer you up, trying to get you to push past your excuses, push past your goals, not push past your goals. Well, yeah, like exceed your goals, but like push past those blocks. But it's all coming from this place of like, rah-rah, you got this, go after them. But it doesn't matter how hard you push, doesn't matter how hard you work, doesn't matter how hard you hustle. If you're out of alignment with the things that you're doing, it's not going to succeed. It's not. In fact, it most likely is going to further perpetuate you towards this place of burnout because now you're just hustling and still not going to get the results. So the hustle's not the answer. Hustling is not the answer. There is a time and place for hustle in your business. 100% agree. In fact, your accelerate phase is a prime place for hustling. You're going to feel good hustling. But there's a lot of times in business that they'll tell you to hustle even when it doesn't feel good. That is not the right time. That's going to lead you straight to burnout. So if you've been in that spot of, I have a big, sexy goal, I have a big reason why, and I still am feeling like I don't have the motivation to do it, I still don't want to get up and work and do the work. So if you're sitting there feeling like, yeah, I have a really big why, I have a really big, sexy why, I know why I'm building this, I know what I am doing, but I still have these days when I don't feel motivated, my question to you, first of all, is whether or not you're in alignment with it. Is what you're doing and what you're building something that you feel good about? Does it feel true to you at your very core? Because I can tell you that it doesn't matter what you're doing, how great you do it. If it's not aligned with you, it's not going to see the results you want. So that's question number one. And then number two would be to bring in this awareness of where your cycle's at. Because it is very normal for you to have times of the month when you are not super motivated. And so we need as a group and as a collective to let go of this expectation that you need to be motivated to achieve your goals. You need to be motivated to do social media. You need to be motivated to do whatever it is all the time because you're not going to. I'm sure that men have ebbs and flows in motivation, but I can hands down guarantee and tell you that women, the way your body cycles, you don't have the same level of motivation every single day. But we have this expectation that we will. So we're holding ourselves to unrealistic expectations of maintaining motivation all the time, which is just setting us up for failure, right? And then when we don't feel motivated, we create this loop, this story in our head that's saying, well, you just can't push past the excuses. Your why must not be big enough. You're just not pushing hard enough. What's wrong with you? Why do everybody else do it? Blah, 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 right? It's that voice. Ooh, if I could just get rid of that voice inside my head, imagine what we would be able to accomplish. Imagine what would be possible for us if we just get rid of that little voice that's telling you what you can and can't do. And that's where I want to lead this next is like, yeah, let's pay attention to that voice, right? What is that voice telling you? So we have our motivation over here and it's like, I should be motivated. I should be able to do this. I should be able to record all my social media reels. I should be able to record all my social media reels. I should be able to show up for my clients. I should be able to shoulds, right? But what if we were able to turn that language around just a little bit? What if instead of I should be able to record all my social media content, you said I could record all my social media content? Feel that. Like take one of those shoulds. Like I encourage you to do this with me right now. grab a piece of paper, pause this audio, pause the podcast, pause whatever you're listening to it to. Take a moment and think, what is one of those big thoughts that comes to mind when I think about my motivation? Or that I should be doing, like something you feel like you should be doing in your business right now or in your life right now, but you're not. And that voice that comes in and says, I should be doing this. Even for me today, just today, the thought came up of I should be able to have, like, it wasn't quite like that, but it was like, I should be able to have more fun with my kids. That was kind of more along the lines of the thought, but like, I should be taking more time to go have fun. I should be taking the time and the initiative to go for a hike or go for an adventure. I should be taking the time and doing these things. That was where my thought was, right? So write down whatever one of those thoughts are for you right now in your life or business that keeps coming up. I should be blah, 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 right? Like right now, that's one of my areas. Like, I just don't feel motivated to do it. I like my why is there, right? Like I want to connect with my kids. I want to be with them. I want to love them. I want to have a great relationship, but I just don't feel motivated to plan these big adventures right now. Okay. So lack of motivation tied to a should. Okay. When you do that, I didn't really give you a time to pause, but pause if you have not done that already. Some sort of a should tied to something that you feel like right now you're just not motivated to get it done. It's a should to motivation, right? Write that down, pause, then write that down and then come back. Okay. So I'm guessing that you've done that, right? Don't go through listening to this podcast without doing that. So what I want you to do is now we're going to slash out that should and you're going to replace it with could. I could go on this adventure with my kids. I could plan it. I could do that. So whatever it was for you, I could plan my social media. I could record all my social media reels. Like whatever that was for you, cross it out and put could. How does that feel now? Does that feel easier, right? Going from this should almost has this like icky, guilty feel to it, right? Like I should be doing that. Like, oh yeah, I should. It's like, I should, it's on my list. I need to do it, but I just don't feel motivated. I don't want to do it. Right? That feeling. But then when we replace it with could, it almost takes a little bit of your power back. I could do that. Sure, I could. But then it could follow up with like, but I don't want to. I could. But then even then, when you do that, like it's almost like it took that power back. Like now it's actually you making the conscious decision. It's you getting the choice of whether or not you do it or not. Do you see the difference there? Now, the last one that we're going to do is cross out that could. You're going to cross it out and you're going to replace it with a can. I can spend time with my kids. I can go on these adventures. I can record my reels. I can do XYZ. Now we've taken it from this place of guilt that you're not doing it, you're not feeling motivated, to now it's a possibility. Yeah, you can do it. It's a choice. It's a decision. To now it's totally freaking possible. Like you can do that. Do you feel the difference, even just in the language? So the reason I brought this up is because we want to watch that language, the language that you're using when you're talking about motivation and the things that you have to do and all of those pieces. Because if we're operating from this place of shoulding, you're shoulding all over yourself all the freaking time, it's not going to make you feel very motivated to do any of it. It's not. Like it's going to put you in this low vibration, low state of feeling like I shit it all over myself. And now who wants to do anything when you feel that crappy? But if we replace it with like, yeah, I could, even if you only go to I could do that, but I don't have the momentum right now. I don't have the motivation. I don't have whatever, right? We could replace, like, then we've attached that I could with an excuse, but it almost puts it like that's a choice that you've made to leave it with the excuse or to do it. And then putting the can on there takes it up that notch even further to this is a complete reality for you. You can do this. You've got this. I'm 100% behind you. Your language is 100% behind you. You can do this. Okay. So that makes a huge difference. Watching the language that you're using. Now, when you get into this place, like I told you, I was going to give you practical, tangible stuff for when you don't have the momentum and you don't have the motivation or the energy or whatever it is that's holding you back from not doing something. What do you do then? Right? Because I even prefaced at the beginning of this episode that I am out of alignment with where my cycle's at. This is not my natural high. I am not riding on my beautiful wonderful magnetism. I'm not riding on that right now. This is a lot of forced energy from me. And I'm yelling right now because I'm super passionate about this. But aside from me yelling right now and being I'm hoping you're not feeling like that I'm forcing so much of my external energy, because in reality right now, I don't feel like I'm forcing it, but I did have to at the beginning, right? And I told you at the beginning is that I was jumping up around. I was doing all this crazy dance. I was yelling and I was singing. I feel like I have a little bit of a hoarse voice right now. All of that because I needed something to get me pepped up and revved up. So this is what I teach inside my program with my clients is these mind-body activators. Things that you can do with your body that are going to help activate that energy for you, activate that motivation. Things because your body and your mind are so vastly connected, right? Even if we were to just look at like everything in this world is energy. And I know I get some pushback from that, like from some people feeling like it's a little too woo-woo. But here's the deal. From a physiological standpoint, your body has electrical pulses, right? Your heart has an electrical beat. Your neurons, your brain, all of that is electricity, right? It's this electrical current flowing through your body. So your heart, your brain, like everything in your body has some sort of a flow, a rhythm, a current, right? So, and electricity. So the heart, the brain have this electrical pulse. And then also you have this flow through your body, your vessels, your blood vessels, your lymphatics, your sensations. Like even when you touch your finger, there's this flow, right? From your fingertips all the way up your arm, all the way to your brain, for your brain to actually recognize that your fingertips just got touched. So your body has this like current of information, of movement, of flow running through it all of the time. So what you do to your body drastically impacts the way your brain feels. Totally. The way you treat your body and the way you show up for your body and the things you do for your body are going to directly impact the amount of energy you have. 1000%. So if right now you're feeling like I don't have the motivation, I don't have the energy, but I've got this thing to do, that's when you want to pull in some of these mind-body activators. I already showed you or told you one of them is to dance. Like literally, this is what I looked like. If you're listening to the podcast, you can't hear it, but I'm literally like jumping up and down doing this. And even just that alone will boost your heart rate. It's going to boost your muscles. Your muscles are squeezing. Everything's moving in your body. You're going to feel that surge of momentum. You're going to feel that surge of motivation. You're going to feel that surge of energy. It's going to make such a huge difference. My earring is falling out of my ear as I'm talking. As I was jumping and my earring falls out. So another one, I was doing some other recording for some of my clients inside Your Cycle Advantage. Same thing. I was not feeling it. Wasn't feeling super motivated. I wasn't feeling really crystal clear, which is also something I was going to touch on that earlier and I totally forgot, but about clarity. If you don't feel clear on your why, or you don't feel clear on what you're building, or you don't feel clear on any of that, that can be also a huge indicator as to why you're not feeling motivated because you don't have the clarity there. So that would have been, even before we talked about the why section, would be that clarity, the clarity on why you're doing what you're doing and if it's in alignment with you. But anywho, I was trying to do this training and I wasn't feeling really good. I wasn't feeling really clear on what I was going to talk about. I wasn't really feeling the motivation. I wasn't feeling the energy. And so somehow I had Spotify on and the first song that was on there was from Sing 2. And I love that movie. It was so much fun with the kids and the kids love it. I just love all the singing and whatever. There's parts of it I didn't like, but overall, I thought it was a great movie. And so I turned on the music. And as I turned on the music from Sing 2, it was like, it was the Stars one. Like, I can't remember, but like, it was like, ba-doo. I'm not a great singer, but it was this like lively sort of song. And as I was listening to the song, trying to work on my last little bit of slides, I could feel my body moving. I could feel it. I was getting energy. I was yelling and screaming and singing. And the kids were outside and they're like watching me being like, what the heck is mom doing? She's like in there dancing and singing. But all of that was helping me to get focused. Number one. Number two, to get the momentum and the motivation to do what I needed to get done. Because when I sat down at my desk to do that, there wasn't any motivation there. I wasn't feeling it. But by pulling in one of these mind-body activators, I was able to increase the energy for that moment, for that season, or I was able to increase that motivation for that task and for that moment. So there's a whole host of mind-body activators that you could use and employ, that when you start to look at the connection between your body and your brain, and that even taking a shower in the morning can be a huge mind-body activator. I had a client of mine months ago tell me that she was like, I'm in my accelerate phase. I should have high level of energy right now, and I just don't have it. Where did it go? What do I do? It's like, how do I not do this? And we had this whole conversation around your morning routine and setting up your morning routine for a really high energy level day. If you're waking up in the morning and you're not doing much and it's a slow morning, and you maybe do some meditation and you do some journaling, and then you stay in your pajamas and you hang out with the kids, and maybe you actually start doing stuff around the house. You're like cleaning and cooking and doing all the things, and maybe sit down and you're working on your business, but you're in your pajamas and you're not dressed. Your energy is going to be lower. Not anything wrong with that. Like the reflect phase, that's what I did. That's what I did today. I literally stayed in my pajamas all day long until I got to the end of the day, and I was like, shoot, I've got some recording to get done. I'm going to go take a shower. Actually, what I did first, I did yoga, then went took a shower, got dressed, blow dried my hair, did all of those things, and then honestly, still didn't have the full motivation and momentum. And that's when I pulled in those other ones, the dancing, the singing, the jumping around, all of those other things. But truly looking at where your morning routine is, and does your morning routine match with the phases of your cycle? If your morning routine is a slow morning for your reflect phase, great and wonderful. That's what your body needs. But if you're in that accelerate and that connect phase, and you need to hit the ground running, and you want lots of motivation and lots of momentum and lots of energy, boy, your morning routine should match that. Your morning routine should wake you up in the morning and get you out of bed and make you feel like $1,000,000 and like you could just run like Energizer Bunny. So are you setting yourself up that way, or are you just going through the day to day, waiting for the momentum and waiting for the motivation to come? I think that's what a lot of people are doing. They're just waiting for motivation, and not to be like the rah-rah people, like the masculine strategies that I was talking about in the beginning of you just got to force your way through it. You just got to do it. You just got to buckle down and push past the excuses. No, this is the feminine way of pulling in these mind-body activators and giving yourself the motivation and the energy and the momentum when you need it. When you're in that phase, when you're in your accelerate phase and you're in your connect phase, support your body with that high level of intensity then. Give yourself that slower element, those slower mornings, the less energy in your reflect and your recharge phases. And then when you need it, right now, when you need that little burst of energy, like I could not sustain this amount of energy all day long. I would completely burn out right now in this phase. This phase of my month, in my reflect phase, it feels okay to get like 30, 40 minutes. I don't even know how long this podcast is going to be. This is probably a really long podcast episode. But for this small amount of time, I can conjure up that energy to push this out. But after this, you can sure as bet that there's not going to be a whole lot of momentum and motivation left. I can almost guarantee you what's going to happen after this episode is that I'm going to turn it off, probably do some editing, try to get some stuff like admin-y type stuff done in my business while I sit on the couch watching TV. It's not going to be there. So having that awareness of where your phases are, how you can really align with that, where your motivation and your momentum should be naturally, and then what you need to do to really support that. How can you boost yourself? You have that cognitive dialogue in your head, right? Instead of, I should be able to get up and do this, you say, no, I can do this. This is my accelerate phase. I can get up and bust all this stuff out today because my energy is going to support that. This is the conversation. This is how we change the dialogue inside your head from, I should be able to do all these things, but my body doesn't feel it, to now, no, you know what your body feels. You know when your body's going to feel it. You could do it this time, but it's probably not going to be your optimum time, but you can do it right now in your accelerate phase, and you're going to kick ass doing it. Two completely different things. Okay, this was a very tangential. I look at my notes. I had well, you could see even the should, the could, the can. Those were my notes for this whole episode. And I knew in my head, where I wanted to go with like the why and the whatever, but I feel like I went tangential and gave you lots of conversation and lots of topics. But that's why I love this podcast. I love being able to have this conversation in real life with you, and well, not in real life. If you want to come in real life, next April is my first retreat and I am beyond excited. I've booked this like nice, amazing, like resorty, like place, Airbnb, Encinitas, California. It has a volleyball court. It has this huge grass lawn. I think it said pickleball, maybe. I don't remember. There's like a pool. There's a hot tub. There is so much amazing goodness at this retreat. I am super excited about it. I have not opened the doors for it yet. There are already a couple spots claimed from other people. So if you are wanting more information and details on that, send me a DM on Instagram or on TikTok. TikTok's been my like new favorite place to hang out. There's been this element of like TikTok feels more real and raw to me. Like I don't feel like I have to be as put together and as made up on TikTok as I do on Instagram. Like on Instagram, I feel like there's this pressure. And on TikTok, I feel like the pressure's gone. Like there's no pressure for me to produce in a certain way on TikTok. So I've actually started really hanging out on TikTok and I kind of like it. There's been a lot of things I've really enjoyed over on TikTok. So I'm not 100% clear on all the stuff on TikTok. So maybe if you're not a friend or something, so I've heard people say something about like, you can't send everybody DMs. So I don't know about that, but send me a DM on TikTok, or if you're not on TikTok, or if you are on TikTok, go find me over there regardless. And then if you can send me a message, if you want more info on the retreat, let me know on there or Instagram, or even send me an email. I'd be happy to get all the details over to you about that. And then we can meet in real life. So this retreat is going to be so awesome. I'm so excited about it. There's going to be lots of amazing transformation. The goal of the whole retreat is to really help kind of take you to that next level, but all by going inward. There's going to be a lot of like inner healing, a lot of that sort of spiritual mindset sort of stuff. At the same time as a lot of business strategy, hot seats, getting all the other women like masterminding and helping kind of problem solve stuff in your business and life and stuff like that too. So many good things. Like I was not planning on talking about that today, but if you'd like that, okay, I'm gonna take my deep breath and go sit on the couch and watch. I'm not even sure. I'm watching Queen of the South with Joe, but it's something that I don't watch by myself. So I'm going to go sit and watch something and stop recording before I just keep rambling on and on and on. And I will see you next week in the next episode.